Welcome back to 3D animation using Maya. We're deep into the character modeling and now moving into the character rigging phase of this tutorial. So I have my character here who I have lovingly called Pudgy because he is quite pudgy. And we already UV mapped last week. If I wanted to go to UV editing, you can kind of see how this guy has been mapped out. Has its different zones here. I've got a body zone, the hand zones, the arm zones, little face zone, even my little wiggles at the top, little hair, and feet, right? So I've got all these different zones, and I can select them, I can scale them. I've already done some scaling, I've already added some shaders to each one. So if I go back to Classic here, I'm in, basically you can always go and go to UV Shell, and then I can select each of these and apply shaders, which is what I did. I have different shaders. Even though it's all one model, there's different UV zones, and I applied different shaders to give them this kind of look and feel with the green feet and hair and hands, but then kind of slightly darker arms, lighter body, and a white face to work from, or at least like a light blue face, I think is what it is. So once I have that, I'm going to go back to object mode. And here's where I'm at. I've got my model, UV character. I made sure that he was oriented so that he was standing on the floor area. Before that, he was kind of centered. So you want to make sure he's standing. Your character is standing, he or she or it is standing on the floor. And the other big thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and select our character and go to Edit and delete all by type history. Just get rid of all that history, nasty stuff that's stuck in there. You don't want it right now. And save a version. This is your UV map, texture mapped, shaded. I put in a little sky dome just so I could see it when I go to render it, and I put in a floor. And if I come up to render here and render it, we should be able to see, there he is, fully rendered out. Cute little guy that he is. Got kind of a little purple sheen to him with the current shader that I have set up. My UV mapping could be way fancier than this, but I just wanted to throw some stuff in there to get them shaded and ready to rig. All right, so let me pull back this is going to be a bit of a detail-oriented lesson today because we are covering a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and go step by step here. We've deleted the history. Now I'm going to go to my four-way view here. And for right now, I'm going to go to a side view, but in all of these, you're going to want to activate a few things. So first of all, under shading, I turned on smooth shade, wireframe on shaded for all these, and go ahead and turn on X-ray joints. That's going to allow you to see the joints through the model. So make sure you turn those on, X-ray joints. Like I said, I have wireframe on shaded turned on as well. So wireframe on shaded and X-ray joints and all of these. I'm even going to do it up here because I might need to see it from above. So wireframe on shaded and X-ray joints. All right, cool. So that'll allow us to see our joints that we're going to create as we go through it. And I'm going to start off, I think, here in the side view. We're going to start with one of the legs, and then we're going to go make a pelvis. We're going to duplicate the leg, then we'll go up to the arms, duplicate the arms, make the shoulders, and then kind of make a central spine and get it all connected. All right. So first thing we're going to do is go to the side view here. And I'm going to change from my modeling menu over here on the top left over to rigging. And you're going to see now we have skeleton and skin and a few more options up here that come up. So I'm going to go to skeleton and I'm going to put in create joint. Now I have the create joint tool. You see it's active right here. If I go to my tool settings, you'll see here's the create joint tool, all that fun stuff, right? Oh, and I forgot to mention, make sure that your model is set up so that he is, perpendicular. He's running parallel with the X plane and looking back and forth on the Z plane and oriented up and down on the Y plane, because that's where all of my lessons are going to be. So make sure you orient your character properly in your environment, kind of standard orientation. All right, I'm going to go back to the side view. So I'm going to come in here. My guy has really short legs. Yours might be a lot longer. They might have a lot of joints to them, but I think my legs are actually going to be pretty simple. I'm going to go pretend like his hips are up in the pudge here a little bit, and I'm going to draw one. And then I'm going to come down and click again. I'm going to take the hip down to the knee, and then the knee down to the ankle, and the ankle kind of down to the foot. I don't really have feet. I just have little nubs down here. So that's as far as I'm going to go. And then I'm going to hit return. Now, at this point, it's very likely that you can't see your joints as well as I can see them. And you can't see, like if I click off right now, they're kind of a purple color. And yours might be way bigger or way smaller depending on what you're looking at, right? So right off the bat, we're going to want to go up to display, and we're going to want to go down to animation, and you can see joint size. And if you want, like if yours are really big like this and don't make any sense, just scale them down so that they fit within the model. Or if you need to make them bigger, make them bigger. You know, you want to be kind of going right down the middle of any limb or any body part. So make it proportionate, whatever's easiest for you. I could probably go to like 0.2 if I want to. Yeah, 0.2 I'll probably stick with. That looks good to me. And then we can also go to display wireframe color. And if you go to display and come down to wireframe color, you can choose a color for the display for these little guys. Makes them stand out a little bit more. Actually, I was trying to get... There we go. So you have to actually select the joint to do that, to apply the color. I could hit like this bright pink. That actually stands out pretty well. I feel like whatever I had in there to begin with, the Y, I kind of like the yellow, but make sure you select the top joint and then hit yellow and apply it, and that'll make them stand out. Whatever color you think is easiest for you to see. Like off of my body color, that looks pretty good, but like if I did yellow, yeah, I think I like the yellow. It's like a yellow-green color. All right, close. So just ways to be able to easier see your rigs as we're doing them, okay? Hopefully that helps out a little bit. Now I'm going to go to my front view, and you'll notice on my front view, that joint isn't anywhere near my foot. It was like right on the side view, but not. So I'm going to hit W on my keyboard and just move them over a little bit, right? And you know, we can do whatever you want. You could tilt them, pretty much keep them straight up and down for right now, and then try to get it right in the averaged kind of middle of the leg there. So I'll try to get it like right about there. All right, looks good to me. So now if I go to both views, you're going to see it's correct in the side view, and it's going to correct in the front view. All right, now we're going to name our joints. It's really, really important that you name these joints. If I look over here in my outliner, I'm going to unfold my joint, and you're going to see 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a hierarchy, parent, child. As I click through them, you'll see all the way to the end. There's the last one. If I click on the first, I actually get all 4. If I click on the last, I only get the last. So there's a parent, and then child of that, and child of that. So joint 1, I'm going to come up to my channel box editor, and right up here I can rename it. So instead of joint 1, I'm going to call it, like I'm going to go with, like if I was the character, it would be my left leg. So I'm going to say capital L, and use a capital L for the left and right orientations because I'm going to show you why. And then I'm going to put in leg with lowercase, leg, top. And I'm going to hit return. And I'm going to copy this because you can see it put underscores between everything. You can put it in, but it'll automatically do it for you. I'm going to copy that, right? And then I'm going to go to joint 2, click in here, paste, but instead of top, I'll say mid, and then on this, mid 2, and then I'll put in bottom. You can put whatever you want in there, like if it makes more sense for you to be like, you know, femur, knee bone, ankle, whatever makes most sense, because when you animate these, you're really going to want to know what your naming convention means. It's going to be really important down the road, or you're going to go crazy with all of these joints trying to animate everything. So naming convention is so important. Otherwise, you're going to be totally lost. Please do not skip naming these. Seriously, it's going to save you a ton of time. All right, so now that we have named all of those first joints, and you can see they all have a capital L at the beginning to be to say left leg, we're going to keep moving down here, and we're going to go ahead and put in the pelvis joint. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in here on the front. I'm going to go back to skeleton, create joints, got my create joint tool again, and I'm going to come right in the middle here and kind of click my kind of pelvis that I want in there. And if you want a dead center, you can come up here to the channel box and just type in 0. Mine's a little off-centered, so I'm okay with it being off. I'm going to go with more of a visual center on that guy and just move him back over so he's kind of between. My character is not perfectly symmetrical. Not all characters are. Mine isn't. But you know, yours can. A lot of yours are going to be symmetrical, so you'd want to put that right at 0. All right. And now that I have that, I can go ahead and choose the pelvis and then hold down Shift and choose the leg. It's really important. Oh, actually, let me name that pelvis first. There we go. I can do it in the outliner, or I can do it over in the channel box, whatever's easiest for you. So I want this leg to become a child of the pelvis. I don't want the pelvis to become a child of the leg. So I'm going to choose the pelvis first, and then I'm going to hold down Shift and choose the leg. And then I'm going to hit P. And you'll see now that I have the pelvis and then the leg. Now if I click on the leg, you know what? I did that wrong. Let me do that again. Let me undo. I'm still getting my parent child. So I'm going to choose leg and then pelvis. And let's do that. Nope, wrong one. Leg, hold command, and then pelvis. I think that'll do it now. Yep. So now when I click on pelvis, it gets the whole, see how it reoriented everything? So I had that wrong. So you want to do the leg and then the pelvis and then hit P, and then it makes the pelvis the parent of the leg. So it gets it in the right order, because we're going to want to be able to select the legs separate of the pelvis, right? If we did it the other way, the minute we hit the leg, we'd also get the pelvis with it. And you're going to see why instantly. So I'm going to mirror this leg to the other leg so we don't have to do the whole thing again. So by doing that, I'm going to open up pelvis. I'm going to choose left leg, the top of the left leg. And then I'm going to come up to skeleton, and I'm going to go to mirror joints, but I'm going to open up this little dialog, the options box next to it. Now we want this to mirror across the YZ. So we click YZ. And then under replace names, I'm going to replace the capital L with a capital R. Hence why I used a capital L but lowercase l on the leg part. If I had used capital L on the leg part, it would read as reg when we go to mirror this. So I'm going to hit mirror, and boom, now you're going to see, boom, 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 still a child of the pelvis. If I click on that, I get all of it, but now I have a lovely right leg to go with it. And all of my naming convention was automatically updated to reflect the same convention on the left. Woohoo! Not too shabby. All right. Now I could come in later and make sure all my orientation is right on that. Right now I'm just going to keep moving. I would want to go around and kind of reposition everything and get it just right. But I've got my legs and kind of my pelvis joint here working out pretty well. All right, so let's go and do an arm. I'm going to come back to this side view, or front view, I should say. I'm going to blow this up. We're going to do an arm. So I'm going to click off pelvis. I'm going to go, let me make sure I didn't miss any steps here. I'm going step by step specifically here. Yeah, we're going on to creating the arm. Thought so. All right, so we're going to go up here to skeleton, create joint. I'm going to start right here in the shoulder. So I'll click one there. I'll come down to where I think my elbow should be, right about here. Then I'll go to my wrist. And then from my wrist, I'm going to, this is where you can look at your anatomy books to see how many bones and metacarpals and things like that we want to put into hands. I've got a character with 3 fingers, not really even any thumbs. So I'm just going to wing it here and make as many as I feel like I'm going to need to orient. So I'm going to do kind of 1 to the middle of the palm, 1 to the first part of the finger, and I think 1 to the end is fine for me. Actual human fingers, there'd be a whole lot more, right? And I'm going to hit return or enter to finish that off. All right, so there we go. I've got my one arm. Now, I definitely want to make sure I get my orientation all right on this. So I'm going to come over here to my side view. It's not even close on the hand. So let's go ahead in here now. Let's make sure. I think my wrist is okay. Actually, my top view is going to help me out even more. So I'm going to have both of these up at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and move this guy down a little bit, keep him in the center, then go to the next one, and then the next one, and then the tip of the finger. Remember, I did the middle finger first. All right, cool. So that's pretty good. That looks good on this end as well. All right, everything's nice and oriented. Now, I can go to this finger, and this is kind of a nice shortcut on any one to branch off from one point. If I want to have the same number of points in each of my fingers, I can hit Command or Control D. So Command D, and then you'll see when I move this up, I have a duplicate of that branch, and it's already connected to my wrist joint. And now I can come in here and just kind of move these back a little bit, and move this back since the finger's a little bit shorter. And then I'm going to do it again. I'm going to come to here and Command D, and I'm going to move that down to this guy. Now these ones I'm going to have to move back a bit more. Move that down a little, and move that one in. And inward a little bit. All right, I'm pretty good. This is moving along very nicely. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and work on kind of a central spine, and I'm going to work my way up to the top. and then we'll connect that spine to the arm and then duplicate that arm to the other side, okay? So I'm going to come back to my front view. All right, let's go here. And I'm going to bring in, again, create joint tool. I'm going to put one like where I think like the belly button would be. I might want to have them fold at the belly. So I'm going to put one there. I'm going to do one maybe a little bit higher up. I don't think I'll need a bend here, but just in case. Then I'm going to have one kind of like center of the shoulders. One that goes up the neck, even though this character doesn't really have a neck. I'm giving him a neck. I'm going to put one at like about the top of his head or top of his face, and then one all the way at the top. Okay? And I'm going to hit return. And I just realized I never did my, for my other joint area, my arm, I need to name it, okay? So I'm going to come back in here and do all of this naming. And actually, it would have saved me a lot of time on the fingers if I had named it first before I did all that. But that's okay. So we'll come in here now. I'm going to do, under joint 1, we'll do capital L for that, for arm. Arm underscore top. I find it easier to do it in the channel editor because it automatically puts things in. So then I'll do middle underscore mid, and then I'll put in wrist. And then I'm going to do, for this guy, finger 1A, finger 1B, finger 1C, and so on and so forth. Finger 2A, whoop, finger 2B, finger 2C, almost done. Finger 3A, I just copied it again to save myself time. 3B, 3C. All right, cool. So now my whole arm is at least spelled out. And now let's go ahead and do the spine. So I'm going to do, let's see, since I started there, 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4. A few more. 5, 6. Okay, cool. So let's start here. So we'll call this spine 1. Spine 2. I'm actually, just so I can see this later, spine 3, neck. Spine 4, face, bottom. Spine 5, face, top. Spine 6, head, top. And just on spine 2, I'll put in like, I don't know, maybe like mid body. And then for spine 1, belly button. There we go. All right, now we're talking. All right, so let's see. I'm going to choose this one. We'll see if we can get the... actually, you know what? I'm going to do the shoulder first. So I'm going to choose my shoulder and then choose this neck right below the neck area. And I'm going to hit P, and we're going to see if that arm becomes... Yay, cool. That's exactly what I wanted. I wanted the arm to be selectable from this. So now I'm going to duplicate this arm, same way that I did before. So I'm going to open this all up just so I can see it. And I'm going to go up to skeleton, mirror joints. Again, YZ, and again, change L to R, mirror, and boom! There they all are. Actually, they're really good orientation too. I'll have to look at it from the side view, but I think my arms are pretty mirrored. It was just my body that's a little bit off left to right. Great. And then lastly, I want to go ahead and choose this guy and then my pelvis, and I want to make that a child of the spine. So I'm going to choose that next. And again, parent that. So kind of like everything starts at the belly button for me, and then I have my spine coming down from there. Awesome. Everything is nice connected. That was the letter P again to parent that. And now I'm just going to go around and make sure that everything looks good. I'm going to unfold everything in my hierarchy here just so I can kind of see everything, especially on those fingers. Remember to get all those fingers. I wish I can still, for the life of me, cannot find a shortcut that will just unfold everything automatically in Maya. There's the right arm too. Let's get all those down. There we go. Okay, cool. So I'm going to come back to my perspective mode here and just make sure everything looks oriented and okay, and come up to my top mode. Yeah, everything looks pretty good. I think that's pretty good. If I wanted to get real wacky, I could add some more skeletons to the top of the head. I might do that later. We'll see. I'm going to go ahead and save. I think this looks pretty nice. So now, before we bind this skeleton to the body, you would go around, you could make little tweaks to the positions of everything, just make sure everything's kind of centered up in the mass of the body. That'll save you some time later. Mine looks pretty good. But we have to make sure that all of the joint orientations are correct. And I've linked a story, like a supporting story or article, just to help you learn a little bit more about joint orientation. But if you don't do this, once you attach the skeleton to the body, everything's going to rotate off, and it's just going to get funky, and it's not going to work out well for you. So before we bind this, we want to make sure that our orientations are correct. Okay. So first thing we're going to do is select everything in the rig structure here. And then we're going to come up to display and then transform display and location. So I'm sorry, display, transform location, local rotation axes, if I can say that. And you're going to see it kind of gives you a display in black and white there. It kind of shows you the rotation of everything. And what we're looking for is kind of what we're seeing in the right side of the body. We want the x-axis to be pointing to the next child in the parent-child rig orientation, and we want the y-axis going up. That being said, the spine will actually want the y coming forward, but for the most part, we want it going up. Now, as you can see, anything that got mirrored, these guys are actually reversed and going downward right now. They're in the wrong orientation. So these would be totally off from each other once we rig it and start moving. They're not going to rotate the right way, and everything's going to get really wonky, especially when we use controllers in our inverse kinematic setups. So we're going to want to make sure everything is oriented properly, right? So the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to go back to this view right here, is there's a nice orientation tool. So I can come up. I know that everything on the left side is wrong. I want those all to be up. So I can choose my whole left axis here, or my left arm here, and I can go up to skeleton, and I can go to orient joints and open up the dialog. And right off the bat, for my, for my arms, I'm going to want to basically turn off orient joint to the world, first of all. And I'm going to want to do set X primary, secondary to Y, and secondary world to Y. And go ahead and orient those. And boom, now all of those are facing up. The only ones that aren't are these tips of the fingers, and we'll fix those manually in just a minute. Now we're going to want to go, parts of the legs are right and other parts of the legs are wrong. So they're kind of all over the place right now. So then we're going to move down to the legs, and we're going to take the leg axis here, and we're going to set the leg to X, Y, Y as well. So let's bring that up. Skeleton, orient joints, X, Y, Y, and orient those. Actually, those are a little bit off. That's interesting. Those are kind of wonky. So I'm going to undo that, because we actually have, on these ones facing forward, instead of having the Y Going up, we're going to end up having the Y facing forward just because of the way we're going to bend the legs and bend the body. But not all of these are correct. So we'll come down here. We're going to end up rotating a few of these things manually. Looks like the right leg is wrong, so let's go to that one. And we're going to go ahead to orient joints. And let's orient that. Let me try that again. Skeleton. Let's try a different configuration. There we go. The Z brought those all forward. Good, good, good. And I'm curious why. Looks like everything else is pretty good, but I'm going to grab this guy and just see if that'll do anything. There we go. That brought everything forward. Excellent. We'll still have to do the bottoms. They're off. And then let's go ahead and do the spines. So what's interesting is because there's so many children going on here, we're going to want to basically choose these one at a time and get these oriented forward. So the spine, the head, neck, and spine, we're going to do X, Y, Z, just like I did on those little parts of the legs. But when we bring up the skeleton and we do orient joints, we're going to turn off orient children of selected joints. So it's just kind of like one at a time. And so like right now I'm trying to bring these forward. And there we go. That's coming forward now. And then we'll do it on this one. Again, wish that window would just stay up. There we go. X is going up in the direction of the joint, and Y is now forward. And we'll go ahead and choose that one as well. Orient that one forward, and we'll orient that one forward as well. So one more. Good, good, good. And then we're going to go up here. I believe on these I can do them all at one time because they're already, I don't have to do the parent-child thing because this is just the end of the run here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that back on and orient those all forward. Good, good. Looks like the top one will have to be changed. So the ones that are at the very end of the change still have to be updated. So let's go ahead. These ones look good though. The Y is up and the X is out. But on this end, you can see the Y is down and the X is forward. So we want to go ahead and rotate these guys. So we can do them one at a time, just literally rotating them. So if I go to rotate here, you can see first of all I could take the Y up, and if I look at my channel box, you can see I can just type in -180, and now my Y is up. But I also want to bring my X forward. Whoop, wrong direction. I want to bring my X forward. So that would be -80, and then I believe 180. There we go. And now my X is forward, my Y is up. So -80, 180. Let's do that on this one on the end as well. If I can grab it, there we go. So -180. And then 180 on the Y. There we go. And then lastly, let's see if I can click off and click on. There we go. -180 on the X and 180 on the Y. Excellent. So those are all done. Let's go down to the bottom of the feet and see what was going on down there. Whoop, I went below the floor there. Sorry about that. Okay, so these all look good. The Y's out and the X is facing downward. So we just have to get this guy at the end of the chain. Let's see what happens when we get the Y forward. Looks like -90. So let's put that in. And then we want to rotate the X downward. So -90 and 90 on the Z. So -90 on X. There we go, and 90 on the Z. Actually, the 90 on the Z, actually those were wrong, so let's try that again. 90 maybe on the X. Yeah, Y forward, and -90 on the Z. Let's try that. There we go. Now we got it. So we've got the Y pointing forward, the X down, just like all the other ones. And then I think if I come back out up here, everything else looks good except for the very last one at the top. And let's go ahead and rotate that one so that the Y is forward. So 90 on the X. And then we want the X up. So 90 on the Z. Yay! Now we have the Y out, the X up. Everything's looking pretty good on those orientations. And that'll just keep everybody nice and uniform as we set different controllers with their specifications on how they can rotate different parts of the body. All right, so we have our joints oriented on their rotations. Now we're going to bind these joints to the body. So again, make sure everything is unfolded over here. Select it all. I'm just held down Shift to get it all. And then I'm going to hold down Command and choose my body. Pudgy is the name of it. And then I'm going to come up to skeleton. I'm sorry, to skin. And I'm going to bind skin. But before I do that, open up the options. And make sure instead of if you have a bind method that's like closest distance or closest in hierarchy, my experience is geodesic voxel works a lot better out of the box. So I'm going to choose geodesic voxel, and I'm going to bind the skin. And now we can start to play around with what's called forward kinematics. I can choose a single joint here and rotate it, and now my body is bound to that. Now, it might not be perfect yet. We're not getting like perfect creases where it bends, and we're going to work on that with skin weight mappings in the next tutorial. But this allows you to start to have some fun. I'm going to undo there. And down here, I can start to like orient my feet a little bit and rotate those a little bit. Now, that's bending my whole body because he's kind of up, so maybe the next one down. If I can get in there. Let's do left leg. Yeah, mid. There we go. There we go. Now I've got that. Now I definitely need to skin weight map this guy. That leg shouldn't be influencing all the way up, but it is because we haven't set constraints or limits or any of that fun stuff. But I can start to move my character all around. And like I said, I can grab any of these and then go to the next one, the next joint in the list, and bend there and do each of the fingers. I'm going to undo all that. I can even come up to the body here and begin to bend that and get a nice little belly crease. I'll have to work on how the belly deforms with skin weight mapping and all that. But there we go. We are starting to get a full character with a rig that we can control and animate. There he is. He's nodding at you. He agrees. Pudgy agrees. All right, everybody. That's a whole lot of information to go through. So start playing around, start rigging, and then bind it with the geodesic voxels. Make sure you get those orientations on rotation. And that's it. Next time we come together, we'll start working on controllers and skin weight painting and all of that fun stuff. As always, thanks for tuning in, and let me know if you have any questions. And yeah, have a great day.